Hello, hello, and welcome to Equip, Empower, and Encourage with Chad Allen. Today, we are going to be discussing a very important topic when it relates to fathers and being the dad and creating a dad creed when you are working with your family. So, today's topic is more about relating with your wife, relating with your children in a positive way where it can have a positive impact for the long haul with your family. So, but before we get going, I want to share um, my website below. You could get t-shirts, the Dad Creed t-shirts. If for a limited time until the end of the month, you can get my free ebook, which is the Dad Creed: Understanding the Role of Fatherhood for a Meaningful Impact. You get that for free when making a purchase of Dad Creed T-shirt. It's also the free ebook is also available for the purchase of a Proverbs 31 mom T-shirt as well. So whether you order the Proverbs 31 mom or the Dad Creed T-shirt, you'll get a free ebook, the book that I just brought out. Okay, and so that's also on Amazon, by the way, and you can read it actually for free if on Kindle Unlimited. So yeah, so let's start a dad movement, right? Where dads take back control of their family and they do it in such a way where it is Christ centered. And by taking control back of your family, dads, you essentially provide a protective hedge over your family. You essentially help keep uh, those things that are evil, out from your family, unless you're engaged in things that you shouldn't be doing, where it allows those evil spirits, etc., to creep in and start attacking your children and your wife and stuff like that. So now let's move on to the subject that we are discussing, because when it comes to biblical principles and the biblical ideals of the family, the father, working with one another, whether it be your children, whether it be your wife, whether it be your um, neighbors, whatever it is. There's always one particular scripture that is really the focal point of our relationship with each other, right? Because it's so easy as dads, where we have a very specific ideology, we have a very specific idea of how things should go, and then we have a perception that we are the spiritual leader, because we are the spiritual leaders of our family. But sometimes we want to kind of hoard over a little bit, uh, where in essence it's more about how can we protect our family, and how can we relate to our family in such a way where it does not cause conflict with them. And so the very important scripture that we need to have understanding of is actually in Ephesians 6, where it says, our fight isn't against flesh and blood, but it's against the principalities, it's against the things of darkness, the things that are there. So when we are relating with our family as dads, with our wife, with our children, we need to understand that it is not the flesh that we are fighting, it's the spirits behind it. that we are fighting, right? It's our own inner spiritual, it's our own inner being, where it's fighting our spirits or fighting against another spirits, right? It's like that conflict of the spiritual warfare, that we are in as dads. So what then? So what then? Uh, so how would we relate in such a way? And I can only share with you how I do things in my own family, and perhaps that will help you as a dad in the coming days to be able to relate with your wife and relate with your children. Because let's focus specifically on our wives, okay? We are, as fathers and as husbands, we are called to be the spiritual head of our family. Above every man is Christ, right? So when we are working with our wives, we need to understand that they are one with us. They are part of us. They are God has when we were married, God has made us to be one flesh. Okay? So she is a member of you, right? She is part of you. She's part of your body. Just as when we are one, we are also part of the body of Christ. Together we are part, right? So we have to understand that, like in First Peter, I think it's First Peter 3, maybe I might be wrong on that, but it talks about how if we are to mistreat our wives and mistreat them in such a way where they are not respected, where they are not, um, you know, truly one flesh with us, right? Then God will not hear our prayer. And so if God is not hearing our prayer in that, then we have to understand that we are also what? Allowing the things that are spiritual, the evil spiritual, the evil spirits that are behind these things that are causing this kind of conflict. We are allowing that to come into our marriage and start breaking that apart. We are allowing these spirits to come in and give them a leadway straight to our children. So we no longer have that protective hedge, right? The marriage and the husband together are acting as the protective hedge over our children. So we have to be able to understand that, you know, yes, as men, we are the spiritual head of our family. At the same time, God has made us one flesh with our wives. And so we must not mistreat our wives with disrespect, with disdain, or anything like that, right? Or God would not hear our prayers. And when God does not hear our prayers, we are allowing the spiritual things to come into our marriage to start trying to break it up. We are allowing those things to attack our children. So just remember that whenever you get upset, whenever you're getting angry uh, with your wife or getting angry, with your children because they're not listening, first rule is to understand that you are not yet fighting against the flesh. You're fighting against the spirits behind these things. So, and you gotta look at yourself too. You gotta be able to look at yourself in a mirror too, because you're supposed to be a leader. You're supposed to lead. And what does it mean to lead? You're leading you by example, right? So it's very easy to want to get back and have a last word, right? But as a leader, you don't need to have a last word. What what like if I feel like I'm starting to get angry and upset with my wife, what do I do? I don't talk back. I never do that. Like, you would hardly ever hear in my family or between especially between my wife and I, we don't really we like, you don't hear us fighting. We don't fight. We don't, we don't do that because we have a mutual respect for one another. We understand that, we are fighting against the spiritual realm of things because we're in a spiritual battle. And so you're not gonna hear us, fight one another, uh, in the capacity in any capacity. We have disagreement? Of course. You have disagreements, but there's a certain way that you are relating and talking through certain types of, disagreements. If you're starting to like, as guys, if you're starting to feel a little upset, anger, and you wanna lash out, my advice to you is to take a step back and not say a thing. Because in most cases, what women are actually looking for, your wives are actually looking for, is just a listening ear. They want to know that you are listening to them and that you are with them, right? Because by listening, and you're not saying just being quiet, just by listening to them and hearing what they have to say, perhaps you will have an understanding of where they are coming from as your wife. So don't say anything. That's one. Okay. Okay. One. Go back to one. Understand you're fighting against the flesh. I mean, you're fighting against the spirits of the spiritual realm, not the flesh. Number two, you need to understand that you need to take a step back. If you're starting to feel a little angry, a little upset, and you want to lash out, you want to just you know, allow whatever it is inside you to burst out. Just swallow your tongue, right? Swallow your tongue, and don't be rash. Just listen. Listen to her. Because you might learn something, right? You might have understanding. And wait until that flow of anger, that flow of whatever it is that you're feeling at the moment where you want to just kind of lash out. Take a deep breath and just hold your tongue. Listen, be calm within yourself. And then after all that, where you have self control over yourself, then Then you say, honey, I really don't understand why you feel like what's going on here, or maybe you understood that it's not really about anything. It's just like she's just talking, and you're just like, yeah, that's really crazy, that happened to you, that kind of thing. So it's always good to be able to listen first before actually saying anything. Okay. And number three, when you respond, you want to respond in a kind way. You want to respond in a thoughtful way. You want to respond in a understanding way. Because again, you're one flesh, right? You're one flesh. You don't want to be attacking your own member of your body, and cause it to start being split, in multiple directions. This is why there's divorce, there's misunderstandings, there's all the other crazy stuff that happens, in the family. It's because you're there are two people going at each other without actually listening to one another. So listen, listen, and then if there's has there if you have to respond, you respond in a thoughtful, understanding way. Okay, that's how you do things. Because if you understand that the world that you're not fighting against the flesh, it becomes much easier to know that you don't have to be attacking your wife because she's one with you. You married her, you loved her. There's a reason, right, that you want to be with her all of your life. So that's how you do things. And the same thing with your children. You know, I understand. Like I'm there too sometimes, like where you get kind of agitated, with the kids because they're not listening. They keep saying the same thing over and over again, or they're not moving as fast as you want them to move. And so you as a parent. So now we're moving to children. You as a parent, you as a dad, are a guide, right? You're guiding your children to be the type of adults that they need to be in society. You as a dad is a protective hedge along with your wife, right? God created you first as a man. You answer to God when things are going bad in your family. You are the one, right? You, the dad, are the one that God's going to come to. He didn't. When Adam and Eve ate the fruit, you got to ask yourself, who did God talk to first, right? God said, Adam, what's going on? Why is this? And Adam responds like, we were ashamed. Well, who told you you were ashamed? And then he talked to the woman, right? So as men, having this being the spiritual head of your family, it also means that you are also responsible for what is happening in your family, for how you're protecting your family. So this means, guys, that you cannot be involved in the pornography. You cannot be involved in having a lifestyle that is unbecoming of Christ, right? Because when you do that, there is a breakage of that spiritual headship that is covering your family as a whole, right? Like if your wife is doing something that she shouldn't be doing, it's providing an inside track of the devil to come into your family and start attacking your children. It's the same thing with the man. When a man is doing something that he's not supposed to be doing, and it's things that are against the family, it's allowing the devil to come in to start attacking the marriage and start attacking the family. So you guys are responsible to ensure that these things are kept at bay, right? Like you are responsible because it says God gave you the spiritual headship of your family. So you are, along with your wife, you are the protective hedge. You are the band that is keeping your marriage together. You are the band that's keeping your family together. So how you are going, for the most part, is how your family's going to go, and for generations to come. And I can tell you guys that the way you treat your wife, the way you treat your children, is going to say a lot in the future generations. You have to be there for your children emotionally, and you also have to be there for them physically, right? So what did I mean by being physically see, you could be inside the same house, right? With the children. You could be in the same house with your wife. But if you're not emotionally present with them, it's like being absent physically with them. So you have to be with them, right? You have to guide them. You have to do the things that you as a leader are called to do. Okay. So you take your children and you're presenting them, right? And you're showing them, you're playing with them, you're being with them, you're teaching them the ways of Christ, the ways that they should go, so that they do not depart from them later on. You have to be willing, dads, to stand in the gap for your family, right? What's going on today with the wokeism? What's going on today with the other crazy things out there that's attacking the children, that's attacking the things that are making a mockery of God? You, dad, if you're a Christian, especially if you're a Christian, you're gonna have to take a moment to stand in the gap for your family. Stand in the gap for your family, because when you stand in the gap for your family and you take back control of your family, you will essentially take back a nation. It's hard to take back a nation when the father has been weakened to the point by society and by self-infliction. It's hard to take back the nation and the family when that has taken place. So this is why I've been calling on dads for a long time to get back, their families, to take back control of the family. They have to. You got to take control back of your family, and you got to be the man, right? You got to be the man that God is calling you to be, because you, fathers, are a born leader. You're a born leader because you are the headship of your family, head the headship of your wife, the headship of your children, where Christ is the head of you, right? So so learn to be that head, to be that leader, so that great things will begin to happen for your family, right? How you react to your family, how you treat your family, it's going to be shown in your children and their children and their children, unless there is a break in that chain where one of your kids says, "Ah, I'm changing for Christ, and I'm going to turn back," and do that things the right way. So I really encourage you to do that, and like as I said before in the beginning of this podcast, this show, whatever you want to call it, let's start a dad movement. And one of the ways that you can start a dad movement is by sharing the link below with your friends and family, and helping other dads get involved by being uh, dads, right? Being the real dad. So this is what the Dad Creed is all about. So for a limited time, when you go to this link and you choose a shirt, the Dad Creed shirt, you'll get my short little book of the Dad Creed, Understanding the Role of Fatherhood for a Meaningful Impact. You can get that for free when purchasing a a T-shirt, or you go to Amazon.com. You got Kindle Unlimited. If you have that, you can get that for free as well, just by reading it through the Kindle Unlimited. So you can do that as well. And I hope you got some value out of today's um, podcast. And we will talk to you very soon. I'll probably come back on sometime next week, and we'll have another discussion for our dads.